Hello, dear.
Welcome to Hello, Dear. You know, there's a lot of questionable health information out there on podcasts and the news, and you just don't know where the good advice will come from. And health is important, and we want to be healthy. So I decided to have on someone I really admire, whose social media posts I've been looking at for a little bit. And he has some really transformative ideas about wellness, about longevity, about the mind. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear what he has to say. So please welcome to the program, Dr. Chelvin Tayne.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Chelvin, thank you so much.
It's
Dr.
great
Tayne,
to be here.
How should I refer to you?
Whatever's comfortable for you, as long as you say doctor.
Dr.
That's what's really important.
Okay, great. Yeah.
You know, just so people know that they should be listening to me and the things that I say.
I do.
That makes sense.
And I agree with that. Yeah. So we'll start right off. Where?
A funny, hilarious question, because right away it reveals how much we are putting on the idea that you have to have a formal education to be a doctor.
Whoa.
Isn't that interesting?
No, that is kind of blowing my mind.
Isn't it interesting that your first question is, where did you go to medical school? Because I would counter with, how do you define medical school?
Well, can I try?
Please, yeah.
So medical school, I would say, is a school that you go to after you receive your bachelor's degree, where you learn information about how to treat people medically.
Sure. And what society would have us believe is that's the only place that you can learn how to treat people medically, right?
Yeah.
But I would say my medical school is podcasts. My medical school is YouTube. My medical school is the millions of people that I've seen just when I walk around. You know,
that's fascinating. So I guess tell me, what was your medical training, if not school? How did you become such an expert?
You know, I became an expert the way that everybody does, which is by believing it, right? Like, there's so many people who don't think that they know things, and they have to learn from the people who think that they know things. And by thinking that you know things, you can become a person who people perceive as knowing things, if that makes sense. And I know I'm using some pretty technical language here, so
I think I'm following,
just pause me if you need me to. Basically, the way that I learned was by seeing results and by feeling different in my own life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I started as a child, a baby even, who was very tiny, couldn't grow goatee, vibes were off.
And when you say the vibes were off, what was happening around that time that were making the vibes off?
I think something that everyone can appreciate or identify with, which is not feeling good all the time. And as a human being, if you're not feeling good all the time, you know something's off, right? We're supposed to feel good. We're supposed to feel good all the time.
All the time.
And
even if we're sick or something bad happens to us.
We're not supposed to get sick.
What if something bad happens and you feel sad?
If something bad happens and you feel sad, I would say that is a great example of your vibes being off, right?
Oh.
Because
your vibes created the bad situation.
Well, I would say it's your response to it, right? Like, say something really negative happens to me. Like, I get hit by a car, or I get bit by a wild animal or something.
Has that happened?
I have gotten bit by wild animals a couple times. I've never been hit by a car, but I have gotten bit by a few wild animals. I've been bitten by a spider monkey, 2 bison.
Wow.
And no snakes, luckily.
Okay, but why'd you mention snakes? Are you just particularly afraid of snakes, or?
Because I think
it's
snakes,
the deadliest bite.
Yeah, it's one of the deadliest bites. That and Komodo dragons, obviously, but it's sort of a different mechanism because
theirs is more of like the saliva kind of.
It's the bacteria in the saliva, of course, which is, you know, obviously you don't want that to happen either.
Can you tell me about the bison bites? What happened there?
Basically exactly what you think. I was in a national park and I saw them by the side of the road and I wanted to get out and touch them.
Yeah.
And I got out and I touched them and they bit me. And I thought, you know, there's no way this is going to happen twice. It's like getting struck by lightning, right? But true. It did happen twice. And so
in a row.
No, but it was on the same trip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't the same day, but it was the same trip. And would I do it again? I guess I'll have to be in that position again, and I won't know until I cross that bridge, I guess.
So that's actually such a great example, because I think that's a perfect situation that one of our listeners might find themselves in. You get hit by 2 bison on the same trip. the impulse would be, things are going terribly. My life's awful. Why does this keep happening to me? So what would you tell someone in that position to kind of reverse their mindset about that?
Well, something that I'm pretty big on is self-centering, right?
Okay,
which essentially means to center yourself at the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think if you approach life with the mindset that you are the center of the universe, then it's pretty hard to believe that a bison is going to bite you a third time, right?
Yeah.
And what's bothering me in that situation is not the 2 bison bites that I've had before, right? That's over.
Yeah.
That's done with. My skin has healed, or at least I've got some ointment on the wound.
It might as well have never happened.
It might as well,
irrelevant.
right? That's old news. That's history. That's something I'm going to read about in the textbook of my life. What my fear and my discomfort comes from is, what if I get bit by a bison a third time? And that's limiting, right? That's a limiting belief. That's true. A belief that is going to keep me from reaching out of the window of my car and touching bison again.
Yeah.
And what I believe is that I am the center of the universe, that all living things, all living creatures, all people, all planets, galaxies, star clusters, etc., revolve around me. And when you think about life that way, it's hard to believe that something bad would ever happen to you. And if something bad does happen to you, you know that that is an injustice that you are entitled to react negatively against.
Right. In whatever way you see fit.
In whatever way you see fit.
Yeah.
And so then when you get chomped on a little bit by that bison, it's not so bad, right? Because it's actually a reminder that there are things out there conspiring against you.
Yeah.
But that's only because you're the most powerful and important person who's ever lived.
And you have the power to react to that in whatever way you want.
Right. Whether that's hitting the bison with your car, or perhaps releasing some sort of drone into the wild and using it to hunt bison.
Do you do that?
No, I haven't done that, but that's an option.
That would
you know what I mean? That's that is a valid choice.
Yeah.
That's a valid response.
What happens when you encounter someone else, as you do in life, and they also believe that they are the center of the universe, and then you believe that you're the center of the universe? Isn't there a conflict there that arises?
God, that is such a great question.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
Really awesome question.
That's really nice. That makes me feel good.
Do you do this professionally?
No, not yet, but I hope, if I keep asking good questions like that.
Questions like that are incredible, and they really make you think.
Yeah, but you don't have an answer for it.
Oh, do I have to?
If you don't have to, but if something comes up to you.
So let's say that you and I encounter each other in the world.
Right.
And I believe I'm the center of the universe.
And I believe I'm the center of the universe.
And you believe that you're the center of the universe. But you're not, because I am.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah. It's so interesting because
that kind of simplifies it, right?
That does, yeah. Wow. All right. Well, yeah. I guess I'm orbiting you for the period of this conversation.
But I would encourage you to see the other people in your life as orbiting you.
Oh, right.
But if you interact with me, just remember you're orbiting me.
So like you're the sun, I'm the earth, and there's a moon. Right? Wait, actually, that leads me to my next question, which is, like, what do you think of NASA and their vision of the universe?
I mean,
you're using, because I asked because you're using some of their terminology.
Yeah, like
star
space
clusters,
and stars and stuff like that.
Right. So you do accept maybe a version of their reality, but I think NASA would probably say the entire universe does not revolve around Dr. Chelvin Tayne. So what would you say to one of them?
Well, of course they're going to say that. I mean, they're in the business. Their business model is built around it not, right?
Yeah.
How do they make money if the universe revolves around me?
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't have a problem with NASA. I don't have a problem with spaceships. I think it's awesome that people go out into space and look at different stars or whatever it is they do. I just don't want any part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not for me. My interests, personally, spiritually, and financially, are terrestrial. And look, I'm sure there's a lot of very good people at NASA, but at the end of the day, it's a money-making operation.
That's true.
And so they have to say what they have to say to get people to keep buying NASA t-shirts and hats.
What do you think of capitalism as an entity and a system for, for people to engage with each other?
I love it because it allows the cream to rise to the top, right? It is a way to know for sure that you are doing the right thing. If you are making money, you know that you are correct.
Yeah.
Right? And how else would we know that otherwise? Like, for example, there's a lot of people who criticize me. They say that, they come after me saying that I'm not a real doctor or I'm not using real science or whatever, but I'm making money doing this.
Yeah.
Right? And when that's why we have the tool of net worth, is to measure who is doing the best. Otherwise we get into these really complicated gray areas and philosophical arguments of does someone who makes less money have actually more value in other ways? And that's really complicated and sticky and hard to think about. And when things are hard to think about, you don't want to think about them.
So you're about simplification, streamlining.
I mean, it's a perfect system because the person who has the most money has done the best and the person with the least money has done the worst. And so what's awesome about that is we get to measure people's value, morality, etc., all with a simple number, which is pretty incredible when you think about it.
Is it hard, though, that feeling of competitiveness? Because, well, I guess I don't know. Do you have the highest net worth in the entire universe?
Oh, I doubt that I do. I'm sure there's many people that are. Look, I'm not super wealthy. I didn't get into this to make money.
Yeah.
But I am making money, which proves that I'm doing something good.
No, for sure. But I guess my question is the people that are making more money than you, particularly in the wellness
right now,
particularly in the wellness influencing space,
Mm-hmm.
is it hard for you to see what they're doing? And do you ever feel a kind of inadequacy in relation to them?
We're all on our own journey, and the people who are ahead of me are there's something coming to them. You know what I mean? There's people who think they're so great because they're doing better than me, but time will tell.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's motivating for you. It's kind of a...
Yeah, I think being motivated by negative emotions is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
It's like filling your engine with rocket fuel. And, today, in this day and age, people want to say, go easy on yourself or love everybody. And, what's easy to do is feel petty and spiteful about other people. And if it's easy, then why would we not do it? You know what I mean? Life's hard enough. Let's make it easy on ourselves. Let's use spite and pettiness. What
time do you wake up every morning?
I wake up every day at 5 a.m. And well, I guess that's your question.
Yeah, no, that's my question. But it leads me to my next question. And I think this might help our listeners too, who are trying to organize their day and get more done. Yeah. Like what's like a typical day in the life of Dr. Tayne?
A typical day for me is I wake up at 5 a.m. and then I'm in the pool and I'm doing high intensity interval splashing. Do you do that?
I'm not familiar. What are the benefits of it?
So it's a little bit like resistance training, but you get in the pool and you splash, and it's about volume and it's about distance. Yeah. Right. And so you have to be explosive, right? Or you're not going to create a big splash. And so I get in the pool and I do probably an hour of high intensity interval splashing. And after that, I'm pretty wiped. So I hop back into bed.
Can I? Yeah. What's the difference between what you're doing and what maybe if you go to like a community pool, like any average like child of about 8 is doing, and they're kind of splashing? We're
on different planets. What they're doing is a joke.
Okay. Yeah.
What I'm doing is, really, I'm generating a lot of power. Like, think about a splash, right?
Yeah.
So you're coming from here, and it's a lot of from back in the full range of motion of your shoulder. You bring it forward and you do a long, hard splash. Think of how well that translates to life. Say I'm being attacked by a bear or a person.
Yeah.
I'm generating power in not that much space, right?
And I also think what's cool about a splash is that it's like your body makes a move, but then your move has larger reverberations,
Absolutely,
even beyond the physical movement that you made. So it's kind of an inspiring. It's like you see your influence radiating throughout space. Does that make sense?
Not really. I'm mostly just splashing.
Am I putting too much? Am I overthinking it? You're saying?
I mean, you could be right. I haven't really looked at it.
You just kind of you black out and splash.
It's 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm not all there.
Yeah.
I'm in the pool going buck wild, splashing it up.
Okay, so after the HIIS, what's going on after that?
Then I'm pretty wiped out from that.
Yeah.
So I hop back into bed for 2-3 hours. I wake up. I have my first pesto dosage and a glass of salt water. And
okay, so great. So actually, it leads me. Well, I don't know if you want to get into this now or you want to go through the rest of your day first, but
anytime.
So pesto is a really important aspect of your whole sort of philosophy, I would say, and your guide to wellness. So I guess let's start here. What is the pesto diet?
Well, the pesto diet is it's basically incorporating pesto into your diet.
Yeah.
But there's several reasons for that. It's actually going to be easier if I brought some data to show you. Can I grab that?
Of course. Yeah, please. He's grabbing some data. In the meantime, we're looking at some information about pesto. Seems like what servings? This is how many tablespoons of pesto, Scott? 3. 1 tablespoon of pesto, 92 calories, 0.9 grams of carbs, 1.4 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have
pretty
some
low
data.
dose, something you might serve to a baby or a cat or something.
Yeah, what's the optimal dosage of pesto?
I mean, it depends on your body weight and it depends on the status of your pesto centers, right? Like to bring pesto centers up to being fully turgid, hard, and swollen requires more than the dosage of maintenance, right?
Yeah.
A curing dosage is much higher than a maintenance dosage.
Yeah.
So here, I'll turn that around so your viewers can see it.
We can also include an image of this in post too.
That would be incredible. How do you have the technology to do that?
I think so. Yeah,
that's incredible. Figure it out. So there's basically 7 main pesto centers of the human body. And what you can think of these like chakras or humors or just sort of zones, if that's easier for you to think about.
What do you think of the vision of the body as including chakras and humors? Does that seem scientifically valid to you?
I've seen pictures of it, but I haven't really read about it, so I don't know. They could be.
Yeah.
But
it's a useful metaphor for the pesto center.
It just helps people understand it, right? Because it's something that people are familiar with. So you have the cranial center, the pesto passage. In the mainstream, a lot of people call this the esophagus.
Yeah.
The twin areolar centers that are located just behind the nipples. The lumbar repository in the lower back. That's where a lot of the pesto processing happens. The central pesto hub that is right there in the tum, kind of. Where pesto is stored and distributed. It's sort of like you could imagine, say, like an Amazon warehouse for pesto.
Wow.
The stigmatic centers in the hands that do a lot for dexterity and arm hair growth. The groinal zone, which, as you can imagine, sexual activity and pissing. And then the pesto cushions, which are obviously located in the rear of the lower back. The pesto cushions, which are obviously located in the rear of the lower back.
And I'm sorry to laugh, by the way. That's very juvenile. I know this stuff is serious, so I really don't mean to.
No, it's funny.
I want to take it seriously.
I don't think. I think it sets us back scientifically when we act like pissing isn't funny.
That is true. Yeah.
And then you have the shin centers, obviously, which do a lot for walking or bones or joints, jumping. If you want to jump big, your shin centers have to be pretty turgid.
Can you jump really big?
Oh, I can jump really high.
Wow.
I can.
Were you the fastest kid in your grade?
I was not. I didn't get fast until adulthood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is a testament to what I've been
incredible.
doing. Yeah,
because normally
I grew up on a very low pesto diet.
Yeah,
which is how, I mean, a blessing in disguise, because I was able to notice the difference as I squirted pesto into my life.
Yeah. Do you think that children that just kind of have pesto given to them by their parent, like sort of with a silver pesto spoon in their mouth, like, do you think they have trouble adapting to the challenges of adulthood?
No, I think that developmentally, I would advise getting pesto into their system because
it's like breast milk or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's certain things like language and understanding the stock market that the earlier that you learn them, the better you're able to learn them. For example, babies or toddlers or children that are given a healthy amount of pesto, they can understand the stock market, cryptocurrency, those sort of things almost instinctively. Where people on a low pesto diet, they have to go to business school or do a lot of reading on it. And really, it's the same thing as...
You didn't go to business school, right?
No.
Yeah, so how did you surmount that deficiency? Was it just through willpower?
Well, I've been on an incredibly high dosage of pesto.
Oh, so it's because you sort of made up for it. Yeah,
I've made up a lot of ground, and I've also I've taught myself to read extremely fast by training my brain to eliminate spaces and punctuation from words. Which, if you look at, for example, a book, there's a lot of it is the spaces.
It's a complete waste when you think about it,
right? Yeah. And our brain doesn't need them, but that's just what we default to.
Why do you think that? Do you think it's kind of like the publishing industry just trying to sell more pages, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think it's big paper.
Yeah,
I think it's big paper. I mean, if you take the spaces out of a book, what you're left with is a magazine.
Yeah,
and that if I'm and who can blame them? If I'm in the business of selling paper, I'm telling people, hey, why don't we put some spaces in there? Why don't we separate the sentences? Why don't we
make the periods like a font size bigger or something like that?
I think if you do your own research, you'll find that the person who invented the tab button and the space bar both had conflicts of interest with big paper, and it's unfortunate because now everybody's reading this way with spaces and punctuation, but I'm not. So it's allowed me to input an enormous amount of data at a very high rate.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to the pesto diet, are all of the pesto centers equally important?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, it's sort of like, say you were to strength train your left leg and not your right leg.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you have one really strong leg and one really weak leg.
You look like a disgusting freak.
And it also, your legs aren't doing what they're supposed to do, right? You're not going to be able to jump and run without turning because one leg is pushing off more powerfully. Really, the only thing that you could do is run up a hill clockwise really fast.
Yeah.
But aside from that, your body's going to be unbalanced. And sort of the same thing, say my groinal zone is really full, but my cranial zone is empty of pesto. Well, I'm going to be driven by the urges of the groinal zone.
Yeah. A problem for many men.
A problem for a lot of men.
Yeah.
A lot of men are only, and men and women are different in a lot of ways, but primarily the order in which the body distributes pesto. Say I don't have enough of a pesto dosage to fully inswell all of my zones.
Yeah.
The male body fills the groinal zone first.
Right.
Yeah. And so you see a lot of men, driven by groinal urges.
And swells the groinal zone at the cost of which zone? The cranial zone or some other zone?
At the cost of all the others.
All the others. So okay. It borrows a little bit from everywhere.
There's it's not borrowing because there's nothing to borrow. It's say I have no pesto, right? I have completely flaccid zones that are soft and flat.
Yeah.
And
has that ever happened to you?
I mean, that's how I was for the first 20 years of my life.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I like I said,
that's incredible.
I was very small. I didn't understand the stock market at all.
Couldn't jump very high.
I couldn't jump very high at all. I couldn't grow goatee.
Yeah.
But so say I have, these flaccid flat zones and I have a dosage of pesto, that's going to go straight to the groinal zone. And once the groinal zone is filled, the overflow will then go into the surrounding zones, and there's sort of a hierarchy that exists.
Can I ask about just the physiology of it?
You can ask me anything.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So primarily you consume pesto orally, right? And then through the oral canal,
Primarily,
it
yeah.
spreads through these zones. But is there another way to consume pesto that, for example, like if you spread pesto, like I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So you spread pesto on your groin area, could your skin kind of absorb it?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll see on my Instagram, my TikTok, I have some videos about specific applications, such as pesto baths, or I get a lot of clients that are like, I can't grow enough arm hair, and just sort of using pesto topically can help that for sure.
So it's like CBD kind of.
Exactly.
What do you think of CBD, by the way?
I don't know what it stands for.
What does it stand for, Scott? Cannabinoid. It's kind of like weed, but it doesn't get you high. I guess that's the big thing. And it's kind of, people use it as some sort of miracle drug kind of thing. Oh, it's going to cure your anxiety. And what do you think of that?
And how silly is that? I mean, that like it's this idea that there's this compound that can kind of like solve all of your problems and can help you sleep better, but it can also help you be more alert. And the idea that that this compound exists and isn't pesto is kind of farcical.
When I hear it out, I mean, it is kind of ridiculous. I just can't believe that people are falling for this stuff.
It's pitched as this sort of cure-all that can fix everything, and what's really sad is there is a cure-all that can fix everything.
I know.
But it's not that.
And it's at the grocery store. It's
right.
Actually, let me ask you about this. What do you think? Is there a particular brand of pesto that you would recommend people buy? Do you have your own brand that you sell?
I do sell my own brand, but look, I'm like I said, I didn't get in this to make money. I got in this to help people, and I just happen to be making money because I'm doing something good.
Yeah.
And so I do sell pesto on my website that people are happy to buy, and I box it up myself, and I'll ship it to your home. But look, you can go out, you can get these ingredients anywhere.
Yeah.
You can buy pesto anywhere. And that, I think that's the beauty of it, is that this is medicine that you can
it's for
make.
The people.
Right. And which is why, Big Pharma doesn't want us to know about this, because they're so focused on pushing pills down our throats that they haven't even considered pushing pesto down our throats.
Absolutely not. And is there some sort of kind of folk history of people using pesto, before? Because it sounds like you're a real pioneer in this field.
Yeah.
So I don't know, historically, were people using pesto for curatives and stuff like that? Or
I would imagine. I mean, I don't like history because I think it's boring, but I like to live in the present. But I would imagine probably.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah.
The ingredients were there and it's super helpful. So it probably came up.
I would imagine basil, cheese, nuts, and oil have been around for probably hundreds of years, right? And look, evolution didn't create the pesto centers for no reason.
That's true.
Right?
So you do believe in evolution?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah.
And I believe that here's what I would say. It doesn't really make sense that we would have pesto centers if the body didn't have an inherent need for pesto.
And what about the idea that there's some kind of universal force that, like, pesto centers are such kind of like a beautiful, symmetrical part of the body that it's like, how could there not be like a creator that designed that? What do you think of that argument?
Is that your idea?
I think someone might think it as they're hearing this,
Oh, that there's a divine, omnipotent creator that blessed us with pesto and the pesto centers.
Yeah, because it's so beautiful. It's like, how could there not be some kind of meaning behind it? It's so perfect and beautiful. What do you think of that argument? Doesn't seem to move you very much.
It's a lot to think about, actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I guess I hadn't thought about that there might be something bigger.
Wow.
I don't like that at all.
Okay. Well, I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I guess it was just something that came up. But do you want to go back to talking about your daily schedule?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, great. So
because that is the point of a daily schedule, is to keep you from thinking about if there's something bigger.
That is true.
Right.
Yeah. Eyes on the prize.
Right.
So, okay, first pesto dose is, if I'm following correctly, it sounds like it's at about 9 or 10 a.m.
Yeah, maybe a little earlier than that.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I have some pesto, I have some salt water.
And what does salt water do for you?
So great. My guess is you've heard of osmosis.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Which is, how the body regulates water by water going from high concentration to low concentration. And what drinking salt water can do is by putting that salt into our bloodstream, it draws water out of the bones.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people don't even realize they have soft and squishy bones. And by drinking salt water, you pull the water out of the bones, making them harder, stronger, denser, in many cases girthier, and a harder, denser skeleton is not something that most people want because they haven't been told that they need one, but they do.
Yeah.
And it also, when we talk about vibrations, something is going to vibrate more efficiently off of something that is hard and dense than off of something that is soft and squishy.
So talk to me about vibrations. Where do vibrations fit into your physiological worldview?
Well, they're the thing that allows us to know if something is working or not.
Yeah.
Right? Like for me, it's when I'm talking to a client, they're like, well, I'm not really losing weight, or I'm not really gaining weight, or my financial situation isn't really changing. I can tell them, do things feel different?
Yeah.
Are the vibes better? And that allows us to know that what I'm telling them is working.
So at what point in the day do you see patients?
I see patients all the time. I mean, well, first of all, I see everybody as my patients.
Oh, wow.
So
this is kind of a consultation right now.
When I go about my day, I'm seeing everybody as somebody who I can reach and teach.
Yeah.
But to answer your question more specifically, from 2 to 3 p.m.
Oh, that's that's a bit of a small window for.
Yeah, well, I'm posting online, and I'm editing the videos, and I'm adding text to the videos, which takes. I mean, adding the text doesn't take as long. The biggest thing is chopping the videos up and stylizing the captions, right, and thinking of.
Gaming the algorithm.
Right.
What do you think of the algorithm?
Oh, I love.
Do you feel in balance with it?
I feel deeply in balance with the algorithm. I feel like it allows us to be our best selves.
Yeah, that's nice.
Because
it draws out, like osmosis and salt water and bones, it draws out the parts of you that are the most viral.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, and I think what I love the most is all the people in charge.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they've allowed people like me to reach so many people and get the word out there and kind of fire back at doctors, nurses, hospitals that are trying to get people to take their medicine and come in for their yearly physical and other sinister things like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
How many followers do you have on Instagram?
I don't know. Let's look. Not as many as I'd like.
How many would you like?
I would like, my goal is to hit 40 million by next week. I can say that again. My goal is to hit 40 million by next week. Right now I have 187.
What's your growth plan? Hopefully this helps.
My growth plan is JKP, just keep posting. And
that's nice. Yeah. So how many times do you post a day?
Well, I haven't posted in a little while because I'm banking a lot of content. I have some really interesting conversations coming out.
Yeah, that's great.
I just had a really, really great conversation with some friends about alternative finance.
Oh, cool.
And I had another great conversation with a friend of mine about masculinity and foot strength.
Whoa. Well, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really powerful conversations, and those videos should be coming out pretty soon. But like I said, editing the text and getting the size right.
Unbelievable.
It takes a lot of time.
It's wild. So masculinity, I wanted to ask you, do you think masculinity is in crisis?
Absolutely, I do. And, the reason why, and I'm sure most of your audience is ahead of me on this, is because we don't build pyramids anymore.
And what do you think building pyramids does for masculinity that's so powerful?
It's a place for guys to hang out.
That is true. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like,
there's no third space anymore
there's
for
no
guys.
there's no third space for
Yeah.
guys to hang out. I mean, say the boys are back in town, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
And you know, we have whether it's in the hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt or in Central America, what do we see? Fellas hanging out.
That is
just
true.
guys being themselves.
Yeah.
And
Guys kind of like walking along a single line, like on a wall. That's kind of nice. I
Right.
like that.
Right. And we've been kind of fed this notion that it's a burial place for pharaohs, or you have these really crackpot theories out there that this is for time travel or contact with aliens. I don't subscribe to any of that. I think it was just
Or
kind of
like-
a fun
or-
place for guys to hang out.
Well, what about the whole human sacrifice angle that certain Central American cultures would, get on the top of the pyramid and like sacrifice?
Well, the hobbies that we have today may look brutal to people hundreds of years.
Yeah,
from
that is
now,
true.
right?
Yeah.
And I would say I am not here to judge people's hobbies in the past.
Yeah.
Whether that be hitting a rubber ball through a hoop with your elbow, or cutting out someone's heart and rolling their body down the steps. Right.
But I would
at
say
the end of the day, it's a reason to get together.
they probably didn't see that as just a hobby. I think they saw it as a fundamental religious act. So do you think there was any religious benefit to human sacrifice that might be useful for us in modern day?
Are you asking if I think that the sun only rises because we feed it with the blood of our enemies?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think probably not, but I'd have to see some more data.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it's unlikely because we haven't been doing these kind of sacrifices for quite some time.
Yeah.
And
The sun's still rising.
And the sun is still rising. So unless there was unless they were banking a ton of it, I really think more than anything,
like banking sunrises.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, but what if like it runs out at a certain point?
Right, we'll find out. Well, and then
we will
and
find
then
out.
it'll be egg on our face.
Yeah.
We'll know.
is
We should have been doing that.
Do you know if there's a particular date where we will find out?
No.
Okay.
I can't read any of that stuff. I don't know how to read hieroglyphs or ancient Mayan or anything like that.
Because you mentioned earlier you don't really like history because you find it boring, but you do seem to you know a good amount about at least pyramids.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody in the influencer space knows a good amount about pyramids.
That's very true. Yeah, it is.
Like if you look
it
around,
comes up. Yeah.
people are. I think that's one thing that a lot of people on the internet have in common is our fascination with the pyramids. And you can see this picture here, and of course, the media and stuff are going to focus on them.
Probably the heart getting pulled out of the guy.
Look, in this picture right here, there is one guy having a bad time.
Yeah.
And everybody else is having a pretty fun. They're getting together. They're getting to know each other.
From a utilitarian perspective, it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you think about if you're hanging out with 5 year friends, one of you is going to get dunked on, right?
Yeah,
one of you
that's true.
One of you is going to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
And society has changed a little bit, but that the dynamics haven't. And so there's always going to be someone who's kind of proverbially getting their heart ripped out and eaten. Can
I offer kind of an optimistic counterpoint to your, because it sounds like you're sad that there are no pyramids anymore, but I would say maybe social media videos about pyramids where people can gather at least in an online space and talk about them, are those the new pyramids?
Whoa.
For us to sort of enjoy as guys hanging out.
I mean, that's really interesting. That's a really interesting thought. I would say in a lot of ways, the comment section of videos is sort of a modern day pyramid.
Yeah.
I would say there's one big difference, which is that they're not a huge building with a point.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe I missed that aspect of it.
No. But I think like having a huge building with a point
that is important.
Is a big part of pyramid culture.
What about pyramids where the top is flat? Because certain Central American
that's
pyramids.
a ziggurat.
Oh, so you're not into ziggurats?
No. I think I'm not against them.
Yeah.
But
it's like you got so close.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like you built 90% of a pyramid and then just stopped. You have to sort of wonder, are the guys not friends anymore? Did somebody move away?
Yeah.
Right? Like you look at that and it's like, dang, that could be so pointy.
God, yeah.
right?
Yeah, that
could
is
be
a bummer now that I
but
think
you
of
do
it.
you do still see.
I hate
I
to
mean,
see wasted potential.
and you still see people hanging out.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
If we are still drawn to the pyramids because they are a hangout zone.
Yeah.
Right? People from all over the world fly to Egypt or fly to Central America to see and hang out by the pyramids, and I think that's pretty hard to argue with.
So what would you prescribe kind of on a society level basis for us to build more pyramids? What needs to change?
Well, I think number one, male loneliness, right? But it's sort of a chicken or the egg situation.
Right.
What happened first, the male loneliness crisis or the outlawing of pyramid building?
Yeah. So first, put it back, make it legal again, legalize pyramids.
Yeah, I mean, people don't build pyramid. Like, say you and I, right? We had this conversation, then we thought, let's go out and build a pyramid. People would look at us like we were crazy.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. But you build a pyramid, pretty soon people are talking.
Like, let's demolish the New York Public Library on 42nd Street, for example, and replace that
and build
with
a pyramid.
And with a pyramid.
Or simply just give it a point. Right.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you can build around.
So you can make any building a pyramid.
Yeah. I'm not an architect, but I don't see why you couldn't put a point on something that's already there.
Wow. So just like a normal house, like a ranch house, and you put a point on it, and then suddenly that's a pyramid?
Or you just you rearrange the bricks, right?
Oh, wow.
And that's why we love things like Tetris, for example, because there are so many inherent male drives to build pyramids. For example, you see a guy or a kid digging a hole at the beach. Next thing you know, you got 10 guys hanging around looking at the hole.
That's true.
How deep is it? People also grabbing the little plastic shovels and digging a little bit. And what men want to do is dig a bunch of sand out, mix it with water and other substances, perhaps some hay, leave it out to dry, turn it into a brick, and transport it via the Nile River to the burial place of a pharaoh. And
so to get into the business aspect of this a little bit, and it has such a negative connotation, but I'm curious what you think about it. Pyramid schemes, okay? Because it seems like in some ways it's a kind of a nice way to socialize.
That's how I feel.
You have a business idea, you tell a few friends about it,
right?
They tell more friends about it. Now you're all friends,
right?
With a common goal.
And this is the power of media and groupthink.
Yeah,
is you say pyramid scheme. And
scheme is such it's so loaded again, it's so biased.
It's so biased. It's a loaded word, but so much of it comes down to tone, right? Like if I say I have a pyramid scheme, pretty neutral.
Yeah.
Right? But they say pyramid, oh, it's a pyramid scheme, right? What about saying that he's got a pyramid scheme going?
Yeah.
Did you hear?
Yeah.
Bryce, Tucker, Joey, Travis, they've got a pyramid scheme going.
Well, what do you think about just changing scheme to like opportunity? Or do you think we should use scheme to kind of retake it?
I don't think there's anything wrong with a scheme. I think frankly, this country and this world could use more scheming, right? I think maybe a problem is that people aren't scheming enough. I mean, think about it. Most great inventions, activities, or events start with a scheme.
That's true. And what's the difference between a scheme and a plan?
I think it's vibes, right?
Yeah.
I think, for example, you don't if someone plans a heist, I go boring, conventional, probably not going to work. You're scheming to rob a casino.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
What do you need? And what I think, it's exactly what you said, which is what I see there is a group of friends all helping a really smart guy make a bunch of money.
It's sort of like your cosmological model too. It's like a bunch of people orbiting one central sun-like figure.
Right. And they don't want us. They don't want us to have pyramid schemes.
No,
right?
they don't.
They don't want us to have pyramid
who's they,
schemes.
by the way?
You know who I'm talking about. It's people.
Yeah, I do,
it's people who I disagree with, right? But I mean, look. Even that, I'm sort of entranced by it. It's sort of beautiful.
No,
right?
I know it's nice. Yeah.
I mean, picture this. I say, hey, why don't you two pay me money.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm in already. That's
Right.
Yeah.
And that sounds, that's a good deal for me, obviously.
sure.
Not a great deal for those two.
Yeah.
But they're involved in something.
Yeah.
There's a community.
For sure.
But then I tell those two, why don't you go get two people
To pay you money. Yeah.
Right? All of a sudden, they're making money.
Exactly.
And people say, well, those two people at the bottom, or those four people at the bottom,
the thing is, there's never a bottom.
Right. You keep going.
Keep
and
adding
the
a new
community
bottom.
gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's incredible.
And it's flawless.
Yeah, no, I can't see where it would go wrong.
Right. And that's what they don't want is simple solutions.
Yeah,
right?
No, they don't.
Everything's got to be complex and nuanced and gray area. And I say, if something seems like it works, just do that.
So that absolutely no.
Right.
That's so. Let's go back to your because I do want listeners to get a really strong sense of your daily schedule by the end of this conversation.
Yeah,
because I think that's going to be kind of the most like ground level impactful thing for them.
Sure.
So,
well, I mean, my schedule is going to be different from the average person, right? Because keep in mind the universe revolves around me.
Yeah.
And I have pretty grave responsibilities.
Yeah.
To educate, to reach people.
For sure.
To shoot, edit, and post a lot of videos.
So far as I understand, it's like you start with splashing.
Yeah, definitely.
Pesto dose, salt water. So that's around like 8 or 9 a.m. And you see patients between 2 to 3 p.m.
Yeah.
So in that window between the pesto dose and the patient, is that just posting and editing?
I mean, that's a lot of it. There, I'm also getting additional pesto dosages. I try to spend a good amount of every morning upside down.
Oh, okay.
Because that way, I mean, so I sleep using a couple different methods. Sometimes
I was going to ask, how many hours a night do you sleep?
I'm only sleeping like 5, but I'm getting 10 because I'm sleeping harder. Than a lot of people. Yeah.
Whoa. What does that look like exactly?
Well, a lot of the time I'm sleeping upside down to elongate the spine and get a lot of that thick, salty blood into my head during the night, which results in powerful dreaming and, lengthening my knees, shins, spine, etc. using the force of gravity.
So that you can jump higher.
So I can jump higher, but also just be taller. And like I said, I'm getting like a net 10 hours of sleep because, when you sleep, you're processing your memories from the day. You're turning short-term information into long-term information. But I'm sleeping with 2 or 3 times the amount of blood in my head that the average person does.
Yeah.
And so I'm processing that information at a much, much higher rate, as are many of my clients who have started doing it. I have a client who started out, he was 5'6", 5'7", and I've had him sleeping upside down for about a year, and he's 5'11" now, and his head is bigger than ever, and he's feeling incredible. I don't have the exact circumference
like a fruit comparison, maybe.
A fruit comparison?
Yeah.
I would say probably tangerine to orange.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He started tangerine. He's probably now orange. His head is bigger and heavier than it's ever been.
Wait, hang on. His head is the size of an orange?
No, I thought you just meant in terms of ratio.
The ratio. Oh, okay, got it. So it used to be a tangerine, now it's an orange.
Oh, you want me to say what size fruit his head?
Currently, Like
I don't know if there's
watermelon
one
or
it's not a water. That would look silly. Because it's oblong,
Right, that's true.
And his head is round. It's very round.
Yeah.
I'd say the best is the growth ratio.
No, I understand. Yeah, and I'm sorry I didn't pick that up before. I'm.
Oh no, it's
trying
okay.
to keep up.
No, it's okay. You're fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate you just platforming me at all.
No, of course, yeah. So
a lot of people would be scared too.
I know, no, and a lot of people did get kind of mad when I told them that you were coming on, but
who was mad?
Some of my listeners, some people that said that they bought Pesto from your website and an order never got fulfilled, stuff like that.
That's classic.
So I don't know.
That is so classic.
What should I tell them, by the way? Because they do ask me, like,
that
I'm waiting for my order of Pesto.
Their orders weren't fulfilled?
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, you would have to imagine there's probably user error happening there.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe they didn't put the credit card information in right.
So should they pay again, I guess, like to make sure that they did it right.
I mean, that's definitely the first thing to try.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It might not be the ultimate solution, but I would definitely try that again. And also, take a look at your address.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
And maybe buy more pesto this time, because maybe it was small enough amount it didn't get through the system somehow.
Well, I do suspect that the post office is skimming a little bit off the top when I send it. And so the way to avoid that would be to buy in a higher volume so that even with the skim, it's still making its way to you.
And why do you think, why is the post office doing that? Do you think they're targeting you, or it's an evidence of larger kind of federal corruption?
I think it's, I don't, you know what?
Could be either.
Yeah, it could be either. I would say
there's
to
a lot
your
of
viewers and listeners, it would be, I would say, whatever you're most scared of, it's probably that.
That's chilling to think about.
Yeah.
That's really chilling to think about.
It is. But fear is ultimately correct.
Yeah, and motivational, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have a particularly memorable patient interaction?
I mean, like I said, I have the
world
friend,
is your patient.
The friend of mine whose head size and weight increased considerably.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people write into me saying that self-centering has helped them cut out toxic family and friends that were telling them things that they didn't want to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
Just people who were like, my wife is telling me to stop gambling, and I cut her out because that was feeling toxic to me. And my point of view would be, if you enjoy gambling, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
But do you gamble?
No. It's not a smart idea at all.
It's a very ruinous financial habit.
It's a horrible idea. But if you like it, if you have fun, and someone tries to take that away from you, that's let me see. I've had some.
And do you have any celebrity clients?
I can't disclose if I have any celebrity clients because
it sounds like you do.
Yeah, but I couldn't say that.
Right. Yeah.
If I did,
could you hint at any?
Let's just say some of the biggest stars of the whole world.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's one. Dr. Chelvin Tayne saved my life with the pesto diet. I'm finally rekindling my relationship with my kids.
That's nice.
Through the power of pesto, a process they've called not what they expected. Thank you, Doc.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Bolted some work boots to my bedroom wall. Was quite simple. Took the best nap of my life. Although I haven't yet physically achieved my goal of 5'10", boy, my dream felt like the real deal.
Yeah.
That's someone who talked to me for
these are some amazing testimonials.
Yeah. I had someone who increased their walking speed with pesto.
How fast can you walk?
I can walk pretty fast. I don't choose to walk at full speed at all times because it would frighten people.
It would be scary, yeah.
It would be very scary. You would think I was some sort of monster or goblin or something.
Or like you were going in like, fast forward or like you were like in like some sort of VHS fast forward thing.
People would think this person has figured out how to fast forward themselves or they would feel like they were moving in slow motion.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be scary too.
Which would be very unsettling.
Yeah.
Right, to find out that you were in slow motion.
If you had the remote from the movie Click, what would you do with it?
I don't know. What would you do with it?
I think I would pause when there was a really beautiful day and I would look around and I would try to enjoy it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I think I would rewind to 2008 and buy all the dips.
Wait, why 2008? Oh, before the financial crisis?
Right after the financial crisis.
I'd
go back and I'd buy like GM stock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. What's your net worth currently?
I can't disclose that.
Okay. Is it...
Nice try, though.
Yeah, no, I figured,
Yeah.
What do you do for exercise?
Like I said, high intensity interval splashing, fast walking. I try to strengthen my eyes. Every day I try to see something a little bit further away. Using progressive overload, I just keep moving the same chart back further and further and further. And I'm able to read it at a distance of 500 yards at this point.
Whoa.
What else do I do for exercise? Obviously, I spend some time upside down, like I said.
Wait, can we go back to the visual your visual acuity?
Yeah.
You can speed read as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but that's a brain thing. That's not an eye thing.
Oh, it's not an eye thing.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, can you read a book faster if it's closer to you than if it's further away? But now I guess that's kind of a stupid question.
No. The reading is really more of a cultural thing, if anything, right? That's a cultural. Again, it's a cultural norm
that there are spaces and punctuation, right?
That we accept the spaces and the punctuation. I simply don't accept them, and therefore I'm able to read faster. But that's not because of any sort of visual or mental acuity. That is a sociological choice I've made.
Yeah. Wow. And what was how old were you when you decided to become a doctor?
When I was 9 years old, I was left in an X-ray machine overnight.
Whoa.
And when they found me in the morning, my bones were glowing. My teeth were vibrating so hard they could hear it from the Dairy Queen across the street. And I vowed then to keep as many people as I could out of the hospital because it was
that's where you get left in an X-ray machine.
Right, you could get left in an X-ray machine till your bones are glowing. And
wait, so how do you? I mean, it sounds like you caught a lot of radiation in that. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Definitely.
Yeah, did the pesto help with that?
I think so. I think probably without that experience, I wouldn't have found the pesto diet, and so for that reason, I do feel, in a strange way, grateful for it.
Yeah.
However, it really hurt when my bones were glowing.
And I don't mean to psychoanalyze or anything, but I'm curious because I just couldn't help but make the connection. Do you think there's anything interesting about the fact that you caught this, dose of radiation, your bones were glowing, were they glowing green, presumably?
Yeah. And sort of like in a cartoon.
Yeah, like cartoon radiation, like the Incredible Hulk. And that you've then kind of orbited your whole career around the consumption of this iconically green substance, which is pesto. Do you think there's anything there connected to?
Not really.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So you never wanted anybody to be in the hospital at that point. You wanted to help them avoid it. How did you feel about your parents leaving you in there?
I didn't blame them because they were super busy and they had a dinner reservation.
Yeah.
And it was a restaurant that was really hard to get into.
Yeah, that's fair.
And this was, just before they made it illegal to smoke in restaurants. So it was going to be one of the last times they could eat a really nice meal and smoke indoors. And so, who wouldn't take that opportunity?
Yeah. Do you smoke cigarettes?
No.
Yeah. Do you get along with your parents now?
Unless I've been drinking, because it feels so good.
It's fun.
Yeah, it feels amazing.
And it's nice to get outside of the bar and have a talk with a stranger and,
Yeah, I mean, 2-3 beers in, having a cigarette, great. And then go back in, have a couple more beers and a cigarette. You're pleasure stacking.
So what about, that's nice. Pleasure stacking.
Yeah.
Is that part of your kind of worldview?
Not really. It's just something that feels really good.
It does feel good. Yeah. The one thing that makes you feel good, another one. Why not?
It's sort of a greater than the sum of its parts. Yeah. I mean, there is a magic there that, throwing back a couple cold ones feels great.
Yeah.
Smoking a cigarette feels great. Combined, unbelievable.
What about people that say that alcohol is bad for you?
I mean, they're right.
Okay. So,
that's not good for you.
Yeah.
But it feels amazing.
That's true.
So you're not going to stop doing it.
So does it feel better than it is bad for you? Like, how does that balance out for you?
I don't know, and I'm not really interested in finding out. It's just not my purview, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like my focus is on the important things, which is saltwater and pesto.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you take care of those, a lot of the rest of the stuff is around the margins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are little tiny things that aren't going to sway your quality of life, your vibes that much. Where my pesto centers are full and hard. And so any alcohol is just going to bounce right off of them.
Okay. So it kind of sounds like do you get drunk?
No, not really.
Okay. You when you drink alcohol, you do not process it and it does not intoxicate you in any way.
No, I mean, I get buzzed. I get sloshed.
Okay.
But I don't get drunk, if that makes sense.
I think I'd like you to explain the difference a little bit. Like, what's buzzed, what's sloshed, and why is that not drunk?
I guess I don't understand.
Because slosh to me feels like drunk. That's like I would understand it as drunk.
It's different. Drunk is sort of like I'm making phone calls I shouldn't. Sloshed is sort of like I feel like I'm on a chairlift when I'm sitting down.
Oh, so it's as with many other things, it's kind of about the vibes.
Yeah.
The vibes change it.
Yeah.
So you've never drank alcohol to the point where it felt dark and negative and problematic for you?
No, I would say probably the reason for that is because, like I said, my full and hard pesto centers are going to change the way that alcohol affects me.
Yeah,
right.
They make the vibes
now,
good.
If they're say you have empty, flaccid, flat pesto centers, and alcohol is able to seep into them, that's going to feel really, really negative for the body. That's going to result in you sending text messages that you regret. That's going to result in you barfing up your last meal. That's going to result in probably like falling and banging your knee, maybe. Where when the pesto centers are full, you're going to process alcohol in a way that's really, 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 really fun.
So when your pesto centers are they always full? Like
mine are always full. Yeah.
Like what happens do you feel pain, for example?
Yeah, I feel pain.
Okay.
But it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother you.
I don't care about it.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a good distinction.
Yeah.
It's like physiologically you feel it, but you don't.
But I don't give a shit.
You don't give a shit. Yeah. What about someone who's listening right now and is like, I want to get on this pesto diet. I want, maybe like a weekly, monthly subscription plan. I think you offer those on your website.
Yeah, definitely.
But they can't afford it.
Uh-huh.
What would you say to them? Do you have any sort of giveaways or scholarships maybe? Or
no, I don't do anything like that, but I do have a lot of scrounging tips on my website of like places that you can find basil, nuts, cheese, and oil.
It's true. It's not that difficult to gather the ingredients.
I mean, you can find them, right? Whatever it is, whether it's plucking a little bit of basil out of your community garden or going and shaking a pine tree till the nuts fall out.
Yeah.
These are things that are abundant in nature.
That's true. Yeah.
And so I would say head to the scrounging section of my website where you can find tips and tricks for sneaking, pilfering, those sorts of activities. Yeah.
And what about the climate crisis? Do you believe that it's happening?
Yeah, I think we do have a climate crisis, and I think the solution is, in short, magnets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
because I've heard various sort of geoengineering plans that seem to invite skepticism. So how would you
kooky stuff, right?
Yeah, how would you include magnets in the situation?
So, say for example, you're an international freighter that's shipping, right?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of emissions come from.
For sure.
What if, for example, on the boat or the boat itself was a very powerful magnet, and on shore you had a really big magnet that you pointed at it, and it could just sort of pull it in,
right?
Right.
I see no downside to that.
Right. I mean, except for obviously, big oil, et cetera, wouldn't be able to continue to make the trillions of dollars that they do. But I think there would, I think magnet-based travel is something that has long been overlooked and frankly demonized. I mean, when you watch old cartoons of like Wile E. Coyote and they show him using a magnet to travel on roller skates, and they have us laughing at him.
I know,
right? They have us laughing at him, and he's invented free, clean energy, and we're laughing. We're meant to be laughing at the coyote.
But what if there's another boat also being controlled by a magnet, and the two magnetic spheres intersect and mess up the navigation somehow?
You just use different magnets, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, you're not going to use the same magnet for every boat.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
And how do the magnets know which one they're supposed to be attracted to?
It's the one that is pointed at it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that takes care of my questions. It's really simple. Yeah.
Yeah. When you go through it, it's kind of airtight. Right? Yeah. And the only explanation for not doing it is obviously profit.
I do want to say though, because earlier you mentioned that if you're making money, it's what you're doing is good.
Mm-hmm.
And oil companies are making a lot of money, but But it sounds like you think what they're doing is bad to some degree.
Oh, I'm not saying that they're doing something bad. I'm just saying that that's the reason why the alternative hasn't been selected. Look,
Okay.
I love big oil.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it might not be the best solution.
Right. There could be a more innovative way.
There could be another way that's faster, cheaper, etc.
Yeah.
And I think there will be opportunities to make money. Like, I mean, 10 years ago I invested in magnets, and if that takes off,
how's that going for you right now?
it's going okay. I mean, it's been pretty stable. There hasn't been a big dip.
Sure.
You know, it's been magnets haven't really.
People have fridges. They want to decorate them.
Right.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff, you know, kind of keeps that at the same level. But for example, if magnetic travel takes off, I'm going to be very, very, very rich.
Yeah. So do you see people using like cars with magnets on them? Like how would
why not?
what would the highway look like?
I think probably like a big wire with a bunch of those little red magnets, the little horseshoes on it.
Yeah.
And all the cars have a little horseshoe magnet on the top, and the wire moves and it pulls the cars along.
Yeah. A lot of your ideas sound, and I don't mean this as an insult, they sound very cartoonish.
Yeah.
Is that just because it's kind of like the clarity of your thought makes it easy to see, much like a cartoon is easy to kind of picture?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's that quote out there that if you can't explain something to a 7-year-old, you don't really know it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I know a lot. And so I'm able to explain a lot of these ideas sort of in the context of cartoons.
Yeah.
Which also makes them easy to see. And it's also fun. I mean, it's so fun to think about, for example, getting smashed on the head with a big hammer and your head is flat for a little while. Right?
Yeah.
That's fun to think about.
Could that happen?
I don't...
Like if you don't have enough pesto in your cranium, for example, and you get smashed on the head with a hammer?
I mean, even if you do, if you get smashed in the head with a big enough hammer, I mean, all the pesto in the world's not going to help you.
That's true.
You're going to get squished.
Yeah. Are you afraid of getting squished?
Yeah, I think on a primal level, I don't like the idea of it, but it doesn't inhibit me from doing the things that I love in my life. You know, like obviously a big piano or an anvil could drop out of the sky at any second, but I can't live my life thinking about that.
And then the worst part about the piano is that then your teeth get replaced by the keys.
The keys become your teeth.
That's humiliating.
Yeah.
I mean,
you look like a real joker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, do you have any phobias?
Thinking about anything bigger than myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
So
like that at all.
we won't talk about that anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to.
Who are your intellectual influences?
I would say Dr. Drew Pinsky, Dr. Phil. I don't know his last name. Dr. Mehmet Oz.
Yeah.
Just people.
Huberman. What do you think of Huberman?
Help. I'm not really familiar. Who's the Huberman?
Oh, I think he's in the same space as you are. He you know, like goes on podcasts, talks about various health things. He kind of plugs a lot of like vitamin supplements, stuff like that. People tend to criticize him for it.
I'm gonna have to Google that. You said his name's the Huberman?
Andrew Huberman. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Let me know what you think of him.
Huberman.
He's very jacked.
Oh, I didn't know he was jacked.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely I'm obviously going to give more credence to somebody who's jacked.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
What about spiritual influences?
Spiritual influences, I would say mostly my own thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, I think intellectually I have a lot to learn from my peers. Spiritually, not so much. Spiritually, I think I've pretty much
self-centered. That's
pretty
what
much
self-centered meditation is all about.
Yeah, I think there was a time in my life when I didn't have it all figured out, but I think by now I do.
And how did you figure it all out?
Thinking about it, and I will say my time in the X-ray machine was consequential.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I came out of there different in a lot of ways.
Are there any, do you have any illness from the radiation that still kind of affects you?
Not that I know of.
Really? No tissue damage, no vomiting. I mean, stuff like that tends to happen.
Well, I don't go like I said, I don't go to the hospital. I don't go to doctors. So like, I'm not using things like tests and data to study everything. Like I'm not. I guess I'm not living within the box of tests and data. I'm going by. Am I feeling good? Am I having a good time? Am I making a lot of money? Right.
Yeah, and you are on all counts.
Yeah. So I mean.
So there's never a time where you get up out of bed, you're like, I'm a little woozy, or I look a little pale today. Nothing like that.
Not really. I mean, there's a big bump in my head that tells me what to do, and the stuff it tells me to do is really bad. But I go, that's part of the human experience.
Oh, okay. So, and is it hard to ignore the bump, or is that
when he's mad? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Does he speak in
I have a
your
really
voice?
powerful mind. He speaks in a voice that's really scary to me.
In English or a different language?
In English.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I don't understand any other languages.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's not like some kind of, I don't know, demonic whatever.
No.
No. Yeah. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry to even bring it up. That's
it was funny to think about for a second.
Yeah.
But
No, and I don't mean to make light of, one of your ailments, I guess.
Oh, I don't think it's an ailment. I think it's.
Has it helped you actually? Do you feel like it's been positive for your career and your mindset? To have this kind of obstacle of like, oh, there's like this bump on my head. It's telling me to whatever burn down this building, and I'm gonna choose to ignore that and actually go on with my day, help a patient, make money.
Not really. It's pretty inconvenient.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is pretty difficult.
Yeah. I think it would be better if it wasn't.
It would be better.
It would be better if it wasn't.
Does the pesto help?
It's not hurting. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
So it hasn't gotten worse.
Does the bump ever take some of the pesto that's meant to be in one of your
He
pesto
better
areas?
not.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He better not.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's kind of a stalemate between you guys.
I think I'm in control.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm in control.
Yeah. You seem in control.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel in control.
So Dr. Tayne, we usually talk about, at the end of this podcast, we talk about a painting and then a poem. Would you like to do that with us?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Great. So Scott, can you please pull up the painting we have today? So this is by Vasily Kandinsky. This is composition number 8.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What do you think when you see this painting?
I see 2 pyramids.
There are some pyramids in there for sure. Yeah. What about all the other shapes?
Well, we definitely have some sort of glowing spheres.
Yeah.
Interesting. If you look, this is, when you're a hammer, everything's a nail, but like, it's hard not to see these as the glowing pesto centers, right? For me.
Yeah. For
which
sure.
I don't think that's what he was doing. Obviously, this was kind of before my theories started to be released upon the world.
But they were, but your
There's
theory
an
is
inherent yearning.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And also, once an artist releases something into the world, that work gains a life of its own. So.
Yeah. Yes. And then to me, it sort of looks like jazz.
Yeah. What do you think of jazz
I love
as a musical form?
I love jazz.
Who's your favorite?
I love the honks and the hoots and the. I love the little.
Yes, it is nice. Yeah,
it's really nice.
That is pretty nice.
I don't have a favorite jazz musician. I just let that shit run.
So this painting looks like jazz to you. Does jazz ever sound like pesto to you?
No.
Really? Oh, that's ridiculous.
I mean, maybe it does for some people, but I don't really understand the question.
Well, I only ask because you said the painting makes you think of the pesto centers, and the painting looks like jazz. So I guess I was using the distributive property.
Sure. But that's not. I don't know if the two are connected. That's just me going off the top of the dome. What I'm seeing, what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I am pretty interested in all these little.
I see some eyes,
points,
kind of.
right? And there's a bunch of. You see the little points? There's like 3 points at a black dot.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that is crazy. It looks really cool.
It looks really cool.
What do you think of abstract art in general?
I think it's
like you don't ever look at something and go, "My kid could paint that," for example.
No. A kid couldn't paint this. The lines are too straight.
Yeah. What about like Jackson Pollock? You know what that is?
Yeah, a kid could paint that. A kid couldn't do this.
Yeah.
But just because a kid could do it, that doesn't mean it's bad.
That's true. Yeah. Do you have any artistic talent visually?
Not really. I mean, I would say my biggest artistic talent is the editing choices that I make and the fonts and sizes that I select for the content that I post.
That's actually, and I meant to ask about this earlier. Do you have any sort of visual artistic influences for the choices you make aesthetically in your videos? Are there any directors that influenced you, or?
No, I try not to be influenced.
Okay, yeah, so it's just your own yearning and your own kind of drives.
Yeah, my own yearning.
That's great.
Sure. Yeah. What do you see when you look at this?
I think what I like about it, I'll say this first, because I don't know how to interpret it quite. What I like about it is that it's very abstract. I don't know what it is, but the shapes are all incredibly clear. It's very precise and sharp, and everything's completely discrete from itself. It can be like, oh, I like this part of the painting where it's like an isosceles triangle with a little like eye into it, and it has movement and it has energy, and it definitely feels like it is evoking something real, but I don't know what it is.
What was this guy's deal?
That's a good question.
Like, what was his deal? Like, why did he do this?
I think he started out drawing normal pictures, and then he got bored with it, and then he started doing this stuff.
Started doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did he, was he like, what was his whole thing?
I don't know. What would you say his whole thing was based on this? What would you like?
I would say he was kind of a kooky, crazy guy.
Yeah. Do you think he's better than you? Do you think he thinks he's better than you?
I don't know if he does.
Yeah.
If he does,
would that piss you off?
He's entitled to think that, but any day of the week, I would be happy to get into the pool and have a splash off with him.
I think you could probably destroy him.
Oh, I know I could destroy him.
Yeah.
His eyes would be burning. But I got no beef with him so far. I think this is pretty good art. I would probably give it a 6.5 out of 10.
That's harsh.
But to me, anything above 5 is really solid.
Okay, yeah.
Like 5 is just neutral.
Yeah.
6.5 is pretty good.
Yeah.
What I think could make this better is maybe like a picture of something cool, like a plane or waterfall or tiger or something like that.
Like a fire truck, maybe?
Yeah, like a fire truck or like a big cyclone.
Like
that
a
would
wolf.
be awesome. A wolf would be amazing.
Or like 2 wolves.
Okay, that would be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you had like 2 wolves in this painting, I think it'd probably be like a 9. But as it is, like I'm loving the pyramids. Like you said, there's a lot of energy.
You know what there's a lot of too is the orbs that look like glowing suns.
Yeah.
And actually think that I do genuinely think that's one of the things about the painting I really like.
Yeah.
Is that there's several suns that are clearly emitting aura, but they're of different sizes and they have different colors. There's one that's like a black and purple sun, one that looks more like the normal yellow sun we know, one that's like a blue sun with an orange or a beige kind of circumference, and all of it feels very spiritual to me, I guess.
Yeah, I love that.
But it would be better if there were 2 wolves.
I think it'd be better if there was like 2 wolves in there, even like a super jacked gorilla wearing jean shorts or something like that, with like a hammer or a sword or something.
Or he's like drinking a cold one.
Yeah. That would be
that would be nice.
That would be really nice. But
is there a painting you can think of that is just a automatic 10 out of 10 for you?
Let me think. If there is, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, yeah.
But that's one of the beautiful things about life is that could still be ahead of me.
That's for sure.
The perfect painting could still be ahead of me.
And for any of our listeners who do paint, that's kind of motivation for you. That
Yeah, I would say send them in to your podcast and I'll rank them.
Absolutely, we would love to do that. Do you want to read some poetry?
Yeah.
So we have a couple options. I can read it. You can read it, or we can have an AI generated voiceover technology read it.
Oh, definitely the AI. I love AI.
I think so.
And I think the perfect application of AI is art.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like I love that like one of the first places we've gone with AI is art, because there's inefficiencies in art.
There are,
right?
yeah.
And if there's anything I know, it's that for art to be really good, it has to be done fast and cheap.
Yeah.
And
I've seen some very cool AI images that may clear a 10
You know
for
what
you.
I bet you could do is take that painting that you just had and have AI throw a couple like wolves or
it could do that, absolutely,
or something like that in, which is why it's so good.
Like, can I tell you about an AI image I saw on Instagram?
Yeah, please.
It was Peter Griffin, and he was wearing like Eddie Murphy's like red leather bodysuit from Delirious, and he was drinking lean with Vegeta. And it had this like, it was like 3D digital art sheen, and they were like really sad about a girl.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome, right?
That's awesome. It's a fusion of worlds.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that'll stand the test of time.
Yeah. No, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna have to take our cans off to hear it on the TV.
Okay.
But let's hear this AI voiceover technology read this poem.
I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal, these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away."
What did you think of the AI voiceover lady? Did you like her voice?
Loved it. Felt really
it felt cool,
it felt really good. Imagine a world where you just get to hear that all day.
I know. That was nice.
I mean, how awesome would that be?
Yeah. And so what do you think of the poem itself? Is there anything that jumps out to you?
I wonder who this Ozymandias guy is. And
he sounds powerful.
Sounds really powerful. Yeah. I mean, look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. What an awesome thing to say.
Do you ever feel like that about your Instagram account?
Yeah. When I look at my Instagram account and the nearly 200 followers that I've amassed, I think, look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. It seems like this guy was pretty awesome. He built some amazing stuff. It seems like it's a story about how
power lives forever.
About how power lives forever.
Yeah.
And about how, he's the King of Kings, and you can't take that away from him.
You can't. Yeah. I will say the guy who's describing the statue kind of sounds like a hater.
Yeah,
he's pointing out all the negative stuff. He's like, "Oh, near the statue, the sand stretches far away forever."
Yeah,
it's like, who are you?
Yeah,
what do you know?
It's a troll. This is written from the perspective of a troll.
It absolutely is.
Which has value because it's good for us to know what's inside of trolls' heads.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, like I said, he's King of Kings. It's a cool name. Look out on my works, ye mighty, in despair. That's an awesome catchphrase. Yeah.
It's overall just kind of awesome.
Yeah, I would say this poem is probably a 9 out of 10.
Nice, yeah.
I don't like spending this much time in the mind of a troll, but ultimately I do think it has value for society, and it helps people. Like, I see myself sort of as an Ozymandias, as a King of Kings.
No, for sure, yeah.
Who, sure, there's haters and trolls that might try to get in my face, but ultimately, I've built something amazing that will never die, and you can't take that away from me.
It will never die.
Yeah.
That's for sure. One thing I think is funny about this poem is that it starts with like, I met a guy who told me this stuff, and then it's just like a long quote from the guy. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like I met some dude and he told me this like weird story about a statue he saw.
Yeah.
It is kind of a strange structure for a poem.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if after that it just ended with him being like, and I was like, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Do you think that'd be a good ending?
I do think that would be another good use of AI.
What's the response?
Yeah, you could make it funnier, right?
Okay.
You could be so that just
hilarious
happened.
Response. Yeah, that just happened. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Just you could kind of like turn something like this into a meme, which would be great. Because the thing that I don't like about it is it's so
there's no
singular.
Pictures, first of all.
Well, there's no pictures.
Yeah.
But it's so singular, and that makes me not comfortable because it's not something I already know and have heard of.
Yeah, it's not like something else that I like.
Yes. So if there was some way that you could sort of fold this into some sort of IP or a meme or something using AI, then I'd be like, okay, like, maybe this was, maybe it's the meme of the distracted boyfriend, and maybe he's looking upon his work, right? And that way I would be like, well, now I get this, right? Now I understand this. And the girlfriend is despairing.
The girlfriend is the lone and level sand stretching far away or something.
Right. Like if you put the words next to the different people from like a meme.
God, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, what about like the butterfly meme of like the
is
the
this my
butterfly?
works?
Yeah,
meme-ity? Yeah, that would be great. Call an ambulance, but not for me. Call it for Ozymandias.
Yeah. Or the Spider-Man pointing at himself.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly who would be who in that.
Yeah.
But I think some AI could figure it out. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about AI is that like
you don't have to have much of an idea.
There's limits to how the human mind can memify something.
Yeah.
But you just throw that shit in AI and it's going to be really digestible.
Yeah.
What I don't like, what gives me the chills about this is it sort of makes me think a lot. And I don't like that.
No, yeah.
And so if it was just something that I already understood and knew how to react to immediately, that would be a lot more comforting.
Can I bring up a concern with AI though? And I'm curious what you think.
Yeah.
So imagine we get to a point where I'm on like ChatGPT or whatever, and I'm like, ChatGPT, generate me a wellness influencer who will make Instagram videos about how, let's say, you should eat mayonnaise every single day to get stronger.
Yeah.
Would that feel like it threatens your livelihood at all?
Not really, because mayonnaise doesn't really do that much for you.
Because it would just be so ridiculous that nobody would fall for that.
Well, yeah, and there's not a mayonnaise center for you to fill. So it would just sort of be going into the stomach and then out of your body the way that other food would, where, pesto is going to fill your pesto center. So no, I guess I wouldn't feel threatened.
So the cream's going to rise to the top even if there's a lot of dreck kind of on the side that's distracting people. The people will go to quality, which is what you're offering.
Yeah. As long as people are going to me, that means that they're going to quality.
Yeah. Well, great. So, Dr. Tayne, I think that's the entirety of the show. That's kind of what we end with. So
great.
Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay. Do you have anything? Excuse me. Do you have anything you'd like to plug to our listeners?
Yeah, I'd like to plug my my Instagram and my TikTok and my Twitter. I'm at Dr. Chelvin Tayne on all three. That's Chelvin, CHELVIN, Tayne, TAYNE.
And what kind of name is that, by the way? Like, what's the origin?
My parents, I think.
Okay, but I mean, I guess like culture, like, is it Scottish, English, anything?
I don't know.
Do you believe in that stuff?
In genes?
In genes and culture, and that has some effect on your personality. And
I guess I've never really thought about it because it's old. You know what I mean? It's so old.
It's boring.
Yeah, it's a little old and boring. So yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay, you're a self-made man.
Yeah, I'm living in the now.
Yeah, which
is sort of my superpower.
Well, it's been a pleasure living in the now with you, Dr. Tayne.
It's been a pleasure living in the now with you.
Thank you so much.
Do you is there some money that you give me?
Oh yeah. We'll figure it out.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Hello, dear.